Hi guys, welcome back to the GhosTea podcast.
My name is Paloma.
And my name is Jackie. And today we are going to be reading some spooky stories that we found online. So the stories that we found are based in Texas.
Yeah, we tried to do at first Kyle ones, but there honestly isn't.
There was literally nothing that happens here. There's like one cemetery here. I think as far as I know.
It was so short though. It's called The Hanging Man in Kyle, in the cemetery in Kyle, but literally there's no information on it. If you would like to know about it, you can research it, but yeah, so we just did Texas in general, and I'm actually scared because now it's dark outside and we're deciding to record this.
No, yeah, and it talks about some pretty spooky things. Look at this fucking picture.
Oh my
God, talks about some really spooky things. So we're both Hispanic, and in Mexico, the stuff in Mexico is so much scarier than the stuff here, or in my opinion. Because the only thing that I'm actually and truly scared of is duendes.
So you picked the duende story?
Yes, bitch! It was the first one that popped up. And I was like, okay. But yeah, I'm scared of duendes. And what's it called in English? Like...
Excuse me.
I don't know what it's called in English.
Duende?
Yeah.
Once I say it, I feel like I'm gonna know.
A few moments later.
Elf.
Elf?
Yeah, it's an elf. It doesn't sound scary in English. You think,
but in Spanish, they look scary.
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. Oh, also, if you watched our last episode, congratulations, because that shit was it was a shit show. Just know that we're going to get better at storytelling and like reading stuff, and
it will also be my first time. It was my first time editing, so I'm sorry if I did a shit job.
We're gonna get better. It goes up from here, man. We're just being hopeful and hoping that.
And we're doing this for fun, so don't take this too seriously, okay?
Yeah.
Don't hate us.
True.
Please.
Peace.
You said please.
No, I said peace.
Oh,
peace, loving. Okay. So I'm gonna start with my first story. This story is called My Journey with Duendes, and it was originated from Los Fresnos, Texas, which, as I'm looking at this from this map, it's super south in Texas. It's like basically by one of the Gulfs. I don't know which one it is. I never paid attention in school. So I'm originally from Indiana, but I met and married my Hispanic husband, and we moved down here to be closer to his family. We built a house on the same road as two of his siblings, and ours was the last one before it turned into a dirt road for many miles. One morning, I decided to take my young sons for a walk down the seldom used dirt road. On that particular morning, I noticed a strange word carved into the mud. Chenta. Don't know what that means, but I'm scared.
Chenta?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you search that up while we're in the story? Okay. As I was looking, my oldest son, who was 13, yelled for me to look at the tiny people. What I saw still blows my mind. About 25 feet away, there were 5 very tiny people, about 1.4 to 2 feet tall. What the fuck? Dog, I would have lost my shit. I'm sorry, but no.
I'm so scared of duendes.
I am too. And fairies.
Yes.
Because the Fae, I've heard a lot of things.
The Fae?
Yeah, that's what they're called. The Fae.
Oh, I don't want to know. My daughter's first birthday party is fairy themed, so I don't want to know.
Okay, well. They wore all white and had pointy white hats on. Even though it was daylight, their faces were so inked out that it made no sense. I got closer to take a better look. And one, about 4 feet tall, wearing all black, walked out of the grass and stood in front of them. When it looked at me, I froze. Not out of fear, but more like I was unable to move. And a sense of fear overwhelmed me that wasn't my own. Without a word, the little ones in white got in a line and began to walk into the tall grass until I could no longer see the tip of their hats. The one in black looked away from me and walked after them. Did you find out what it meant?
It doesn't specify. Like, I couldn't find anything on it.
Suddenly, I could move again. So I grabbed my younger son and we ran home, which was less than half a block away. I told my sister-in-law and she laughed at me. So I begged her to come and look. But of course, all that remained were small, white bare footprints in the mud. She told me that in Mexico, they talked about these tiny people and called them duendes. I, being a white woman from Indiana, had never heard of anything like it before. However, soon we began to get tormented and pranked daily. We would open the fridge and food would fall out because it was placed in the very edge. We would find tiny footprints on our tan tile floor that led to the wall and disappeared. One morning, I woke to find my sugar bowl dumped over with a small finger drag marks in it. We took our shoes off outside, and we began missing one shoe, usually our left, and my brooms were constantly missing. One night, I woke up and chased bare feet running into my son's room. As I got to the closet right behind it, there was nothing inside, only hangers swaying as if they were hit by a strong wind. We sold the house and built another one about half a mile down the road.
Oh,
what the
What is
fuck?
that gonna do? What is that gonna do?
Oh wait, I didn't finish.
Okay.
On the opposite side of the street.
I'm dead.
Okay. Since then, I've only had 3 strange occurrences, but I try to blame them on natural things because I'm so terrified. The last thing that ever happened was the death of our tiny dog, and bloody footprints that led to a window and disappeared. Our new neighbor claimed the land is cursed because of the Palo Alto battlefield that was nearby, and the land was soaked up of too much blood. I don't know, but I never call people silly or superstitious when they talk about such things. I just sit quietly and listen. Who am I to say they are not telling the truth?
Encounter with a mysterious entity on Old Alton Road in Denton, Texas. Okay, so this took place this was written in February 15 of 2023. This took place in Denton, Texas. The Texas goatman is a legendary creature.
Oh fuck no, the goatman?
Yeah. Why?
Oh.
Do you know of the goatman?
Yes. Goatman's Bridge. You never heard of it?
No, but I'm scared because this is in Texas and I have to drive home by myself.
There's like an actual bridge here that they say that the goatman owns. We can do a story about it like another time, but it's scary.
Is the focus of a terrifying ghost story. Goatman's Bridge is a 138-year-old structure connecting the cities of Denton and Copper Canyon. And as legend has it, if you visit, you may not be alone. Madison Sawyer takes us there.
Nestled in the woods in the middle of Denton County lies Old Alton Bridge. Built in 1884, it's better known as Goatman's Bridge.
I think everybody thinks about it when they're driving by.
It's become somewhat of a spectacle after being featured in one of the most popular episodes of online paranormal series BuzzFeed Unsolved. But its origin is a tale that has been passed down for generations.
It tells this kind of different side of history that reminds us that, hey, we have ghosts to reckon with.
The Texas goatman is a legendary creature that is said to roam the woods and forests of Denton, Texas, near Old Alton Bridge. This creature is said to have the body of a man and the head of a goat, and is often described as being both hairy and frightening in appearance. The origins of the goatman legend are not clear, but some believe it dates back to the early days of settlers in Texas, when people first began moving into the area and encountering strange creatures in the dense forest. Over time, stories of these encounters became embellished and evolved into modern legend of the goatman. In popular culture, the Texas goatman is often portrayed as a dangerous monster that attacks people and livestock, and is said to be responsible for a number of mysterious disappearances in the area. Some believe that the goatman is a product of genetic experimentation gone wrong, while others believe it is to be a supernatural creature that ties to ancient.
Oh, look who can't talk now.
Ancient
Ancient
mythology. What do you think it is? a genetic experimentation gone wrong or a supernatural creature?
A supernatural creature?
Yes, me too.
Stop, don't fucking do that.
Despite its notoriety, there have been no confirmed sightings of the Texas goatman, and many people view the legend as simply a local folktale passed down from generation to generation. Nevertheless, the goatman continues to be a popular topic of discussion in Texas and continues to be a source of fascination for those interested in the paranormal and the unknown. Check out what David V had to say about this encounter. My nephew, his girlfriend, my younger sister, my wife, and I think maybe there was one more person, I don't remember who it was, were at a place where an old iron bridge had once stood. It was not open anymore, but the iron frame was still there. Over the Trinity River in North Texas, just north of Denton, Texas, we were all sitting around in the back of my nephew's truck, drinking cold beer and smoking a little bit of something. After a few hours, we noticed that something or someone was moving around us, just out of our sight. It was dark, and all we had was the light from my nephew's truck. Whatever it was kept circling us for what seemed like hours. It was probably only a couple minutes. After a while, it was still walking around, and I was trying to get a look at it to see what it was. Everyone else had started talking and was not paying attention to it anymore. I heard it was right in front of me as I was sitting on the tailgate. I heard a loud growling noise. Then I saw two bright red eyes in the woods about 25 feet from me. I pointed them out to the other people, and they looked up and saw this thing. It let out a really loud roar that sounded like a lion, but bigger and not in a cage. It stood up, and it was at least 8 feet tall. We all jumped up and took off, me and my wife in our car and the rest in the pickup. I don't know if it was the goatman, but I know he had been seen there before. This was the goatman of Alton Road in Denton, Texas, said David V. Well, that was kind of disappointing. I thought it was gonna be like a whole story, but that is still scary though, because I'm scared.
No, we can definitely make a different episode talking about that, because I've heard we can even go not at night.
No, I'm
but
okay.
they say, so I don't know if you've never heard about this.
No.
I watch a bunch of scary shit, so this makes sense. But it's a bridge here in Texas. It's not that far actually. I think it's like south, isn't it, like near San Marcos area, like down that way?
I've heard of Denton, but this one looks like it's up north. Denton, Texas. It is 3 hours and 36 minutes away.
Okay, well, basically, I don't know the full story, but I know that when people go, they say that they see red eyes glaring at them and that they hear like the footstep of like a goat. Like, you know, they have a like that distinct like and I don't know. I feel like I would like to talk about that. It's scary though. It really is. I believe in that shit. So the next story that I'm going to be reading is called Chased by a Ghost Semi in Mission, Texas. This story was posted on October 17th, 2021. In the cold winter of 2013, my friend and I were driving through the back roads of Mission, cruising since we hadn't hung out in months. We were in his red Chevy truck listening to rock music when a mysterious semi-truck popped up from behind us. At first, we thought it was just a man taking a shipment. I looked back, but since it was nighttime, the windshield of his truck was opaque and we couldn't see. The semi-truck began to speed up, honking the horn. My friend pressed the gas and tried to outrun him. The semi also sped up and I felt my heart begin to beat faster. As we approached the expressway, we saw a Stripes gasoline station and turned in quickly. As I looked back, the truck suddenly disappeared. It was as if the truck evaporated without seeing it. The next day, I researched haunted trucks. They mostly happen in Mexico, but since we were close to the border, it is possible for this to happen. To this day, it is unknown why that truck chased us out. Now, I have heard, I listened to this podcast called La Mano Peluda, and it's a call-in show where like it's like a radio show and people call in with their personal stories. And I heard of a story that happened in Mexico, and it's about a semi truck. No, it had a semi truck, but it was what happened, what was scary. But I'm gonna tell you about it because so it was someone's personal story, and the semi truck driver said that he saw a boy and a man standing on the side of the road, and he said that he wasn't gonna stop, but he saw the little boy and he felt bad, so he stopped to pick them up. They start conversating, the trucker and the man, and the trucker says, your son is wearing a really cute shirt, or something about what his son was wearing. And the guy looks at him funny. He's like, what are you talking about? He was like, your son, the one sitting next to you, or the one that came in with you. And he said, I don't have a son anymore. He passed away a year ago this day. And then he described the clothes that the boy was wearing, and he said, those are the clothes that we buried him in.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
but the trucker was real. He was.
The trucker was real.
Kid wasn't.
But the kid wasn't.
Oh my god. Oh.
I don't know. I have a thing about cars too, like following too close, because after watching Jeepers Creepers, I was like, oh hell.
I never will.
It's basically almost the same premise, but instead of, it's like a supernatural entity.
I don't want to know.
Well, it's kind of like the story.
Right now.
Oh, okay, you're right. My bad.
I'm like, please don't tell me, please. I'm such a pussy, guys. Like, I'm sorry, but I am so scared of everything. Like, Malia woke me up. My daughter woke me up at 3 a.m. on the dot last night.
Fuck no.
I kid you not. I was shitting bricks. Like, I was like, girl. Out of all the times you could have woken me up, this time on the dot. Anyways, this one's called Creepy Doppelganger. I can't say that word. Why did I choose this story?
Doppelgangers?
Creepy Doppelganger in Rio Grande City, Texas. This is one of the many incidents that have occurred throughout our childhood moments while living in the valley. It's been hard for me and our family to hold on to these stories and moments that still haunt us, mainly because we strongly believe that it had a lot to do with our father's passing. Around 2008 and 2010 were the first of many happenings that staffed our household for many days to come. From hearing voices late at night outside our sister's window to weekly basis seeing death roaming by the corner of our eyes late at night around our property, as if death was waiting for something to take. The story, as I recall, started off as a normal
A few moments later.
Sorry, I have a lot of saliva.
That's what I was telling you earlier.
The story, as I recall, started off as a normal summer afternoon and was clear as daylight. I remember I was blocks away from my house in La Rosita, Texas. La Rosita, Texas. Down south by Rio Grande City, which was exactly where we lived. Gathered around my friends like every other child growing up, we would get together before summer began to see what was expected to do for fun. We were the true definition of outside kids generation. We weren't worried about Fortnite, Facebook, or streaming. It was all about having fun outside and making good memories with each other and making the days count as we could. But joy would eventually take a complete turn throughout this story that haunted us forever. One day, while my friends and I were still deciding what our plans were going to be for the summer, blocks away my younger sister was at home helping my mother with laundry. Our family was still old-fashioned when it came to drying clothes. The whole vintage wood hangers were still popular in our household, which made it kind of exhausting at times when being asked to hang everything outside for it to dry. So taking that in mind, this time around my mother had requested my younger sister to go outside and hang the last batch of laundry she had pulled out recently from the washer. As she made her way outside towards the hangers with both batches of heavy cloths, she began to hang them one by one. As she is constantly moving left to right, hanging each shirt, she is awkwardly surprised by what comes next. As she is setting up her next shirt to hang, she looks straight in front of her and sees me, quote unquote me, just simply standing there from my shoulders up without saying a word. At first, she personally thought that I was there to prank her or even scare her, as she had stated. So she continued to joke around with whoever was taking my form in front of her until she got the sudden feeling that whoever she was talking to wasn't me. She stated that this thing was just standing there, and she remembers an evil smirk, and he was just speechless. My sister then threatens the evil doppelgänger, thinking it's actually me, goes running back inside, crying, frightened. She starts explaining to my mom what she had experienced and felt that I was being a jerk to her. While all this is happening, keep in mind I was nowhere near our house. I was surrounded by the majority of my friends. That's when I get the call. I see the name and it's my mother calling. At this point, I'm thinking to myself, shit, I probably didn't do my bed or something, but clearly it was worse than that. She quickly starts asking me where I'm at, and by the sound of her tone, my sister crying in the background. I knew something big had happened, so quickly I reply, I'm at Frank's, is everything okay? She replied by saying, that's impossible, mijo. Your sister just claimed that you were scaring her a few minutes ago outside. Right when she said that, I had the creepiest feeling in the world. It had me frozen for seconds. The thought of me being nowhere near my house was just creepy. I told my mother I was headed there right away and hung up. My friends quickly asked what was wrong, and I didn't want to spoil anything yet, just to see their reactions. After a few minutes of riding our bikes back to my house, we went straight inside to see what truly happened. That's when the story truly came to life, especially coming from my own sisters in tears. Everyone was shocked and creeped out by what they had just heard. The same 6 friends I had arrived with were the same friends I was with when the incident occurred, which was shocking to them. Between confused and scared, they only had one thing to say to my mom, which was basically, that wasn't your son, he was with us.
Have you heard, I don't want to scare you, but a sentence that started like that is gonna scare you. But it's been coming up on my TikTok a lot, about other people hearing their loved ones' voices when it's not really them. And this usually happens in like areas where, like, I forgot what area it's called, and it's like mimicking their voice.
Yeah, that has happened to me before.
Oh hell no!
That's never happened to you?
No, I would cry.
You've never heard like one of your like parents or siblings say something, and then there was like no one there?
No.
Because one time I heard my dad, and then I think Blanca was at the house or something, and I asked her, I was like, did you like hear that? And she was like, no. But you know my house, it's very creepy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think I never done my research, which I really want to do, but at the same time I don't because I'm scared. I feel like my house was built over like some type of like native land. Or some kind of like cemetery, or I don't know what it is, you know, but
your house is scary.
Yeah, I think there's some kind of like entity there, but I have heard like,
that's what that kind of reminded me of, because I know that it could have, because isn't doppelganger and SW the same thing?
It could be,
right? Because don't they like shapeshift?
Yeah.
I almost said it.
I'm so scared to go home now.
All right, so this story I found on Reddit. Okay, multiple people have asked to hear my story, so I'll go with the one that scared me the most. About 10 years ago, I was 20 years old at this time. Some of the teenagers from my church decided that they were going to go drive down, quote, Ghost Road, end quote. This is a scenic gravel road in Hardin County, Texas. It has history. People who've driven down the road have claimed to see a mysterious light. The story everyone told me, however, is the little girl that would sometimes walk across the road. She would be dressed as a girl from the late 1800s. Those who've seen her say that she walks across the road and stares at you. That would scare the shit out of me. It takes about 40 minutes to get there from the town we lived in. And on a Saturday night in rural Texas, there's not much else to do for teens except do drugs, have sex, or chase ghosts. Which, true.
Chase ghosts?
Well, there's not much to do in like here. Whenever it first started, whenever we were younger, there was still not a lot here.
I would go outside and play with caracoles.
No, I mean I do too. This is teenagers though. They're talking about teenagers.
That is true, but why would you?
Whenever you were a teenager, where would we go? Evil was the only place, and it didn't get built until like.
If you're from Kyle, you know Evil was the hot spot.
Because it was the only thing to do here for teenagers to hang out, or the park.
Cool going to Evil, man. I put on my best outfit and going there.
But they're right. Like there's literally nothing to do if you live in a small town and there's nothing there. Like here, you would either go to Evo or you would go to a park with your friends.
Yeah.
That's all. That's it.
Oh, okay. Continue. I guess it's exceptional. That's not the right word. I'm sorry. Excuse me. That's what I meant to say.
They asked me to go with them, but I told them I was too tired and would go next time. Little did they know my plan was to drive out there solo around 8 p.m. And this is in parentheses. They weren't planning on getting there until 9:30. And hide in the tree line and scare the hell out of them. I would do some shit like that.
You would do some shit like
I arrived, parked my car on the side of the road a few blocks away from the entrance of Ghost Road. I guess they were saying so they couldn't see their car whenever they pulled up. And walked about a quarter mile down the dirt road. I brought my multicolored laser pointer. I thought it would be fun to shine the light on the road as they drove by. I climbed up into the tree and waited. I remember how cool it was outside that night. I can still feel the late summer breeze on my skin. The rustling of the trees was both calming and unnerving. I sat in the tree and waited for my prey to arrive. But after about 30 minutes, I started to hear sounds coming from the woods. The sounds were coming from behind me, and they sounded about 50 feet away. Leaves and branches crunching, twigs snapping. I shook it off, as just animals rustling around in the woods. The sounds continued for another minute or two, and they were headed into my direction. I tried to be quiet, but since I assumed it was an animal, I didn't have any uneasy feelings about letting out a cough. Then I heard it whispering. "Did you hear that?" Shh. My heart stopped. Who the fuck was out in the forest? Why are there people wandering in the woods in the dark instead of driving down the road? I stayed as quiet as possible, and after a few moments of silence, I heard the indistinguishable sound of a shotgun being cocked. Next thing I know, loud shots start ringing out. I hear the shotgun ammo being unloaded as well as what sounded like a handgun shot. I also heard some heavy country accent shouting, "We ain't afraid of you goddamn spirits."
What the fuck?
It said that it wasn't a country accent. Let me do it. "We ain't afraid of you goddamn spirits. We know you're out here, you motherfuckers. Come on out." I was so scared that I felt like I was going to black out. I was sweating profusely, and the cool, refreshing summer breeze now turned cold as winter. I had no idea what direction those bullets were flying from and if they would end up coming towards me. After a few more minutes of hillbilly cursing and bullets flying, the sounds stopped. A few minutes later, a big Chevy truck drove past, and they were flying down the gravel road, kicking up dust everywhere, which proliferated and got caught in my nose and throat, causing me to cough more. Thankfully, I was almost sure it was the same guys. After this happened, I decided not to go through with scaring the teens. I felt lucky to be alive. They could have easily been shooting in my direction. They could have kept walking towards me and maybe found me. There was no telling what would have happened. I climbed down and made a mad dash back to the car, because I didn't want to be seen by these guys if they decided to come back from the other direction. When I got home, I showered and went to bed. Of all the things I hoped to get spooked by on Ghost Road, guns being fired was not one of them. The next day, one of the kids called me and said that I missed out on all the fun, and told me how they stopped at the old cemetery down the road and ran around scaring each other and playing hide and seek. If only they knew.
Sorry, I'm confused. What was the spooky part of this?
They were saying how they were gonna go to the Ghost Road, and in the Ghost Road, people would see a little girl appear in clothes from the 1800s.
Yeah.
That's fucking scary, bitch. It's a ghost.
Yeah,
so that's why people were going down to this road.
Yeah, but isn't that the whole plot of the story him being shot at by hillbillies?
Well, that's what was okay. So, his friends were telling him that to go with them to go see this sighting. You know, it's like if we were to go to Goatman's Bridge. That's what it is. It's just a sighting. You know, I feel like I would be more scared from people trying to shoot at me than.
Yeah, that is scary, but it's not more like paranormal.
No, well, kind of. I mean, they were going for that reason to go see paranormal stuff, but he wanted to scare his friends, so that's why he showed up early to try to scare them.
And climbed up a fucking tree.
And that's why he got shot at by hillbillies.
We ain't scared of you.
We ain't scared of you. Alright. Alrighty, guys. Thank you if you listened to our stories. If you didn't, I totally understand because they were not our personal ones, and I should probably have read through them before saying them.
We just kind of
because these people do not know how to fucking write. Because I was reading this shit and I was like, this doesn't make sense. Yeah.
This was more of like a little bit more fun episode, I guess. Just kind of reading random stories off of it.
Since the last one was kind of intense, since we were talking about people being unalived, so
yes, this is a little bit more uplifting one. Well, not really, because I'm scared of shit going home now, but
but yeah, thank you if you listened to our stories, and I'm sorry that this was a shorter episode. There was not much to find in Texas, even though there's so many scary things that happen in Texas. I couldn't find anything. Yeah. Or at least in Kyle.
Well, we didn't really have time to research.
True.
Well, I did, but I just didn't. Okay, anyways, not the point.
Anyways, our next episodes are going to be better formatted, better put together, hopefully.
We are learning as we go.
Yes. So, yeah. Thank you guys if you listen to our stories. And, yeah, that's all I can think about.
All right.
Well, we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.